Hello, everyone. Here with Mike and Emerson, and we're playing three-player chess, but also a variant on three-player chess, like we have been. Royal Bishop chess. So if you have 0 bishops, you have lost the game. Or if you get checkmated, you lost the game too.
Yeah.
But if you take someone's last bishop or checkmate someone, you win the game. And if you do neither of those, you're in between. You get a half a point. Winner gets 1 point. Loser gets 0 points. That's all we need to say. We were talking about cooking stuff on the stream.
Yeah.
So both, your last bishop is royal, would be a way to say it.
Yeah.
We have played royal. We've played them with the. We have played royal knight and royal rook. Does that attack that pawn or not?
No.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. There's like one square that it doesn't. Where's the pawn? It's like the king. Yeah, see how the queen's right there, but it doesn't attack that square. Oh, so what was mushroom flavored?
Mushroom is
No, like what'd you say was mushroom flavored?
MSG or umami.
Umami.
Yeah. Yeah,
I've never heard
umami's
that.
like it's sort of become it's kind of become a cliche for like food critics to invoke that term now. So a lot of like people who have been hearing about it for a while will kind of roll their eyes when they hear about like it's great umami.
I'm meaning to go to the Chinese market, but I don't want to drive over there to like.
There's a closer one now. There's
Really?
one in Henrico, yeah.
Does it have like the same Chinese place statue?
Oh yeah, I don't know if it has the same cafeteria area, but if it does, that's the place to go. New Grand Mart, everybody.
Because I don't want to like drive all over there and like not have any idea what I'm getting.
That's half the fun. It's all the more reason to learn how to read Chinese characters. That, and so you can go on Chinese 4chan and learn about ridiculous Chinese memes.
Just for the black bean.
Oh yeah, black bean noodles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing that's umami. Black soybeans.
Black soybeans.
Yeah. Yeah, there's this delicious Korean dish. And I can't remember the name of it. I used to think it's samgyeopsal is pork belly. It has pork belly in it. God, what are the Korean black bean noodles? Except it's not even so jjajangmyeon, that's what it's called. I love Korean because a lot of stuff sounds the same, even though it's spelled vastly different. Yeah. So the thing that's great about jjajangmyeon is that you can only get it in Chinese food restaurants in Korea. So they have their own, but you can't find it anywhere in China. Much like our Chinese food, you can't find anywhere in China.
And so it's like not Chinese.
No.
Like authentic.
Right.
Obviously.
Right. Yeah, it's their own unique bastardization of Chinese food. Much like, our sweet and sour chicken and stuff. They have their own sweet and sour. They have a sweet and sour pork called
Is it vastly different? Like if I tasted it, would I not even really recognize it? Or like is it tangential?
the black bean noodles, yeah, that tastes like nothing you've ever had before. I can almost guarantee. The sweet and sour pork is closer, but you would probably like it more because it is more on the sour side. They use like a pineapple-based sauce, and that is called tangsuyuk, which just means crispy pork.
Crispy bacon.
Yeah, but like you said, like nothing really translates well, right?
Right.
I mean, so it's just like, okay, I mean, crispy pork. All right, what does that really tell you?
But what does it really mean?
gonna say the rules again. If your last bishop is royal, so if you have 0 bishops, you lose.
Good to know.
Oh, then do we have to play that once? Okay, once you lose 1 bishop, the other one becomes royal, so you can checkmate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you could we haven't. I don't think in 3-player chess we've ever had a promotion, but I guess you could promote to a bishop. But I don't. Yeah, I don't.
2 royals.
Or just have. I mean, it could be a.
Stop. Yeah.
It
Right.
could,
Yeah, sorry, I'm an idiot.
So what happens when one person resigns? How's the point system work for
Who to
that?
resign for?
yeah, you have to resign for a person. So like if you checkmated my bishop, I would have to resign for Mike or something like that. Or like it was the wording's a little bit confusing, but I resign saying you're the winner, and then Emerson approves of that.
Gotcha.
But why is culinary school so brutal? Is it incredibly time intensive?
Yeah, and it's everything's like really finicky by design. They try and I would lightly compare it to like the military, except not. But it is a lot of like, all right, you got to be here at this exact time, and it's usually at like 4 a.m. That's an exaggeration, but there were days when we had to be there.
I understand it because like when you do cooking, I mean, it takes the prep and like getting ready for a restaurant. Are they trying to train you to think about what it means to work in a restaurant? Or
yeah, pretty much. There's that, and on top of that, they'll do. Honestly, the like cooking portion is the least intensive. It's more of the like your final reports were always either like cookbooks or they would be business plans, and they have to be extremely detailed, and you have to go get them like properly bound at like a Kinko's or whatever. And yeah, my final project for my stock soups and sauces class was like a 150-page cookbook. That was.
You had to like write a 150-page cookbook.
Yeah, but it didn't just include the cookbook portion of it. It was also.
Where's your bishop going, Mike?
I don't know.
Hopefully to a safe square.
Yeah, to a safe square. So yeah, it was that, but so they would give you like a hypothetical of like you've been hired as the chef at this resort in this part of the world, and you need to come up with recipes.
150 recipe menu.
Yeah, kind. I mean, it was it had to be 35 menu items, and then you'd have to do like recipes for all of the constituent parts of the menu items.
A while ago, Mike, every time Mike came over, it'd make me hungry. And it hasn't happened in a while, but now, now I'm very hungry.
Yeah, because I would always end up talking about food. Go figure.
Oh, so, no, keep going. So, like, what, so give me a ending of how much 150 pages really is. How many recipes does that amount to for you? Like, how many recipes?
It was like 60-ish recipes for all the like different individual sauces and stuff that go on the different dishes, and then you have to include either pictures or diagrams of like how it should be plated, along with instructions for. They have to be written for, like kitchen workers, who, a lot of them. Yeah. It's often called an industry of second chances. That makes.
Explain why is it?
Well, it's a place where. Just a second.
I have not found my. They're probably just sitting under here somewhere. But my earbud headphones.
Yeah. I've got mine hanging right here. So it's It's often called an industry of second chances because not very many kitchens do background checks on the people they hire, if that makes any sense. It's just sort of a thing where you like show up and you can either do it or you can't, and you either stick around or they tell you to leave. And when you're in charge of like a group of people like that, Anthony Bourdain, the late great Anthony Bourdain, used to liken it to a pirate ship. It's just like a lot of guns for hire. And so the recipes have to be written in a way that people who, how do I put this politely, aren't, they don't excel at literacy, should we say? And the recipes have to be written with that in mind. They also have to be written for, like, to scale. So whatever resort that they told you, like you were now the chef at in this hypothetical situation, you had to do research on the resort, figure out like how many people were there, use all these different formulas that they give you to like sort of guesstimate what your customer flow would be like. So you have to figure out like the volume, things like that.
Wow. Fuck, keep going, dude. I'm into this. Like,
Okay.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Fucking go. This is interesting. Keep talking.
So it would be like you would give recipes at different scales, and you would include instructions of like, all right, so check the forecast. If it's going to be particularly like rainy for this week, only make this much. If the weather's going to be really nice, like double that maybe.
Wow.
As well as guidelines on like what to keep making and what to get rid of. So you would include like a wild card sauce or a wild card soup, I mean. Which, if it's a hit, keep making it. But if you haven't sold X gallons of it by this point in the week, then like stop making it and try and push the rest of it. Or you would include instructions on like, hey, you can turn this soup into a sauce by boiling it down and adding cream or whatever.
It seems like fuck, dude. Jesus.
It's just, yeah. It was a lot of, like, giving you the stress of a real job, except you're paying them rather than you're getting paid.
But, I mean, they're there to help you, too, right? They're not going to let you flounder, right? And
right.
They're going to give you feedback.
Yeah. For that portion, you get feedback. In the live portion, when you're, like, they called it laboratories because, they're on like a college model, so it's not the kitchen, it's the cooking lab. And so you would be like, that's where they're checking to see if you have like good hand washing habits and like good knife skills, all that kind of stuff. And that they would let you sort of screw it up, and then they would tell you at the end everything that you did wrong. It'd be like, yeah, at like this point in time, you touched your face and you didn't go wash your hands immediately afterwards, so you lose the letter grade for that. So you get super paranoid about what to do with your hands. That's like a thing that I have never recovered from. I'm always like, where are my hands? What am I doing? For me, it was always putting my hands in my pockets would get me in trouble, and now I never do that. But
I just find this immensely entertaining. Like, please, I know I haven't said much in a while, but like, I am fucking, because, dude, I'm starting to do pieces about food, actually.
Mike. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I just did a piece about breakfast, a theater piece. And, like, cornflakes get like thrown all over the ground, and they eat bacon live, and like all this stuff.
That's really cool.
You left your bishop.
So like when you said this, like my mind's kind of on fire.
My night.
So like also my next piece that I'm going for, that I'm working on.
One left.
Yeah.
It's about death row final meals.
Oh.
Like that's one of the like. So I think it's gonna be like my first operetta. In 3 acts, where the first act will be some kind of meal. It's a monodrama, so there'll be like one actor, and then there'll be musicians surrounding them, but they will just be like side characters that never say anything. but they have like just kind of like they have just a background narrative role. Or we'll start with some kind of meal that the main theater person. She'll be probably a soprano. And then a crime will be committed or something will happen that will cause them to go to trial. So like they'll be accused of murder or something really bad. Is the trial. And then the third act, they're going to get convicted of whatever. And then somehow they're going to get on death row. And then the piece will end with like them eating the meal they chose to like eat for their last meal. And yeah, so anyways, yeah, so that's why I'm so super interested when you talk about culinary school, because anything I can learn about food could potentially be like essential to my narrative in some way.
Okay.
The cultural reference of what it means, like what you choose to eat says a lot about your socioeconomic status person. So like what eventually inspired me to do this was that there's a visual artist named Henry Hargreaves.
That sounds very familiar.
You know him? Yeah. So he does food art.
Okay.
You probably know about him. And he did a piece on death row last meals, and all he does is just look up what someone on death row's last meal was, take a picture of it, and then take a picture of it, and then under the title and everything, he'll give the information of who they were, what their crimes were, their last meal was, and it might include their final quote.
And it includes method of execution. I'm looking at one of them right now.
Isn't it amazing, dude? Look at it. It's fucking incredible, dude. Isn't it interesting as fuck?
Yeah. The lobster tail and 32 ounces of A&W root beer. Okay. So it's kind of...
Yeah! Dude, you want to hear the weirdest one of all? This one fucking freaked me out, dude. So do you know who John Wayne Gacy is?
Yeah. Is he on death row?
John Wayne Gacy's final meal, dude. Holy shit. And they said when he was caught, he was a manager of a KFC, and look what he chose to eat. So it like tells you their socioeconomic level, like pretty much how much money he made.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much food tells about people's lives. You know what I mean?
Database error.
I know one state stopped doing it because one person ordered like so much stuff, and then he didn't, and then he refused to eat it.
Ruined it for everybody. Yeah, 1 pound of strawberries.
Yeah, dude, he did like a pound of strawberries and like 8 pieces of big ass KFC fried chicken.
The whole bucket of original recipe. 12 pieces of fried shrimp. French fries. Yeah.
Emerson, you're up. I don't know.
Oh, okay. But then you think about like what his crimes are. Is like he was a fucking child rapist, and you think about like how disgusting that meal sounds, and then like relate that to his gluttony of like how sick he is.
Yeah.
Like it just starts to make your heart cringe. Like
my heart's cringing because of all the fried food on that plate, but I can feel my arteries hardening just at the thought of it. But
oh boy, yeah, 1 bishop down for Mike, so he's going after her.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
Yeah, so that's what I'm working on. So I actually, dude, I mean, can we keep streaming together? Because honestly, I'd love to keep having chats about food.
Yeah, I can.
And I would like to share my ideas and stuff.
Okay. I'm always available.
You could help me come up with some narrative material, dude, because I can ask you questions, bounce off ideas. I mean, you've thought about probably meals a lot, right? I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could probably even imagine social situations where you might have ideas about. If I were to write some kind of, you could bounce shit off you is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Feel free. Anytime, anywhere. I am available. I will answer food questions. As well as just talk about food in general. I've always had like a weird relationship with food in that when I was like...
Obviously, please tell me.
Well, when I was really little, well, not even really little, up until I was like 14 or 15, I didn't really get hungry. Like, to the point where I got, like, incredibly skinny. And even then, my relationship with food isn't I mean, I do occasionally feel the hunger. But it wasn't until I started lifting weights that I was like, oh, like, this is what people talk about when they're like, oh, I'm hungry.
Jesus, you didn't really know what hunger was? Like, you couldn't feel that feeling?
Yeah. I didn't for, like...
That is so fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like, how about... Just to talk about that. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
That is so fucking interesting. Holy shit.
So, food, like, as far as, like, cooking and stuff, it's all about, like, the process for me more than the result. And, well, even though the result is nice, but the result's more like a sculpture to me than it is
I got more into cooking after a Futurama episode where Bender doesn't have taste buds and he becomes like a great chef or tries to become a great chef.
Yeah, it's kind of...
What did you say, Travis? Did you say something kind of relates to that?
There's an episode of Futurama where Bender the robot, who doesn't have taste buds, wants to or becomes the chef for the Futurama crew. And at least at first, it's pretty bad because of...
he doesn't have taste buds.
Because he can't taste it.
So, what I want to ask you, Mike.
Yeah.
So, do you think that helped you be a better chef in a way because active about the flavors and it freed you to like experiment more because you weren't worrying? You know what I mean? Do you think that's interrelated or something?
Yeah.
The fact that you can be more objective towards your flavors since you're not hungry you're often not hungry while you're cooking. Objective, right?
Yeah. And I don't really... There's a lot of people are always like, so what do you do when you have to make stuff that you don't like? And it's sort of like, I sort of don't like and do like all foods equally. Like, I can't think of any particular food where I'm like, no, licorice. I can't do licorice.
I can't do it. I'm not good at it.
But, really? Why?
Yeah. Something about the fragrance of it is more offensive to me than even, like, the durian stuff. It's very abrasive. It's like very chemical to me.
It feels like you're eating like fucking radioactive shit, where it just feels like it's like manufactured.
Yeah, or just
check
like
to your bishop.
So I can't stand Twizzlers. Are Twizzlers a licorice flavor? Because I fucking hate Twizzlers, dog.
Like the red vine ones, or the
red vine ones, the original Twizzlers. Like, you know those?
The original.
There's licorice Twizzlers that there's things that's like licorice Twizzlers. I don't know if regular red Twizzlers are, but there's licorice Twizzlers. I don't like those either. But it's mostly I like most foods, but it's mostly like sauces. Like I don't like mayonnaise or.
How can you not like mayonnaise? Holy fuck!
Yeah, mayonnaise is great.
I mean, I'm fine with mayonnaise. I'm fine with a tiny bit of mayonnaise on a sandwich, but like I'd probably just prefer not to. But there's a lot of sauces that I'm just not a fan of, I would say.
I mean, isn't mayonnaise used a lot in recipes?
Yeah, or just
that flavor, those combination of things.
Yeah.
Oh,
like that's one of the things that you will learn about in Julia Child's the Guide to Fine French Cooking.
Does she tell what do you mean learn about what?
So anything that ends in A's, A-I-S-E, is a sauce that is made with egg yolks as a base. So there's hollandaise, béarnaise, mayonnaise. There's a bunch of others, but those are the ones that come to mind immediately. But those are all egg yolks with a fat emulsified into them. And those all branch out. Those are among the mother sauces. Hollandaise being the quote mother sauce. That's because of this old dude, Escoffier, who kept up the fine tradition of stealing recipes from people who worked for him, that's just how things have been done for centuries in the culinary world.
So really, if you work for someone, you have to realize that. So is there often this thing where you'll work for someone, but you won't reveal something you're working on in your personal life?
Yes. Less so now than when I worked at, like, actual fancy French places. Like Gordon Ramsay has been sued for that on several occasions. Unsuccessfully, I think. I actually don't know. Maybe they settled. But
Yeah, so that's a good question. So what are the laws swinging towards?
that's
To protect the people, the owners who are taking these recipes, or the laws swinging towards the people who originally invented?
so it's kind of hard to prove that you've invented a recipe. But if you have, at least in America, I don't know if you've noticed the epidemic of food blogs where people post recipes, but first they post like 10 paragraphs of a story leading up to like, oh yeah, my
Just give me the
grandmother,
recipe.
yeah, my grandmother used to make this every Sunday morning, blah 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 blah. They like weave in a narrative, and that's because in America you can't copyright a recipe unless it is attached to a narrative. Just a recipe on its own is not considered intellectual property.
Well, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So people are forced to make up shit sometimes, you think?
Oh yeah, all the time. Probably more often than not. If I had to
Is
wager.
that why like a common phrase in America is like, just like grandma used to make it?
Yeah, it's
Probably linked to that?
it might be. I think it might be the other way around though. Like that's like a cliche to say like just like grandma used to make, so people just started claiming that every recipe that they made was made by their grandma.
Right.
And so that kind of became the like go-to cop out for people.
Dude, I'm so happy to know you. Holy shit.
Well,
Dude,
thanks.
I'm actually very pumped that I have like someone to talk about, like to give feedback and like.
Yeah. Oh, you had mentioned cornflakes earlier. I don't know if you know the story of how cornflakes came to be.
No, God, yes.
This is sort of unrelated to my food education. This is just more random trivia. So,
Can you wait? I'm gonna go get a big glass of milk right now.
yeah.
So that I can enjoy this story. Okay. You always have whole milk. Like, do you believe in whole milk no matter what? Like, what is your opinion on milk?
I guess I drink whole milk when I do drink milk. I have as sort of a way to force myself to use a more limited palette of ingredients. I have gone to like a mostly plant-based diet. I don't like the term vegan. So that's what I use instead. I do occasionally eat eggs.
You're a vegan.
I eat a plant-based diet, yes.
You don't like the
There's a lot of baggage. Yeah.
Yeah, the baggage.
Also, I mean, you probably would eat
Let me
meat.
get some milk.
Like, you're not like well, I mean, would you? Yeah, I guess.
I'm kind of opposed to like the modern day
Like, because I would
factory
I would
farm.
say I try to not eat meat, and generally when there's options, which there generally is, I don't eat meat. But like, I'd probably eat a hamburger at a cookout or something like that. Like, I'm not.
You're not. Yeah. I'm a little more regimented. But usually if I'm going to a cookout, if I don't know like the people there, I will just like bring a thing that I know I can eat and bring
Probably the
some to
last
share.
thing I had meat was probably like a spaghetti meat sauce was probably
You don't eat much meat either, Travis?
not much. I mean, I'm not like if someone offers it to me, I'm really not opposed. But
Why don't you eat it? Do you eat it because you think it's unhealthy? You don't eat it?
no, I just try to cut down over time, and then that's
It seemed like it sort of got spearheaded with that talk that you watched about the futurism guy.
Oh, well,
I don't know if you had already.
I have
like,
a
cut
philosophical. There's philosophical arguments I've heard that says like here's why you shouldn't kill animals for food, or kill meat animals for food. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
And I pretty much agree with that. So
Yeah, I'm less opposed to that. I am, in fact, like if I
It's not an
knew.
ethical thing with you.
It is
I'm
an
going to
ethical
my
argument, but I'm not 100% like I guess there yet or if someone offers me food and it's already dead and it's already like it's either going to be me eating or it goes to waste, then I will eat it. But I will generally try not to buy it or eat it if there's other options or something like that.
It is sort of an ethical thing for me, but the ethical part isn't that I'm necessarily opposed to the killing portion as much as the raising animals specifically for the purpose of killing
I
them.
know the Impossible Burger is like approved in either Walmart or some big stores now.
Yeah, and
the like lab grown meat burger.
yeah, Impossible Foods is a company that is working on growing.
Yeah, I know about all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about all of it, but I knew about the lab grown meat.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, is it not perfected yet and it's still much...
It's just expensive, I guess.
Yeah.
Expensive to make.
You're still...
I mean, it's gone down every year. I think once the Impossible Meats come about and there's just so many more options that are actually cheap options, then...
Why can't I... Am I in check? Am I moving through check? Oh! Okay, that was just very delayed. Castling. So it is ethical for me, but I am... So, like, if I knew... I don't know anybody who hunts right now, but I used to live in the middle of BFE, and I used to have people who hunted and would give me meat all the time. I'm not opposed to eating meat from, like, if I know the person who shot it, basically. As long as it was, like, a wild animal.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I don't know. I have less hang-ups with that. It's more of the, like, modern factory farm, like, trying to maximize revenue by, raising them in close quarters and stuff. That's kind of what I don't like. But really what I'm...
Raw, like, fuck, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Faux gras, holy fuck. Jesus Christ. It is like the fucking Holocaust.
Gee, Bishop.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, foie
Worse than
gras.
the Holocaust, like, fuck.
Yeah,
No
foie
way.
gras is...
I shouldn't say that. I didn't mean...
Yeah.
Wait. I meant,
Hey, it's cool. I'm Jewish. I
can.
can confirm that is...
The conditions are even worse, it seems, because it's just like you're fucking being force fed. It's like you can't die. It's like you're forced to suffer. It's like you won't die. You'll just... Well, I mean, you will eventually die because your liver will literally explode, basically.
Yeah.
But, like, it's such a fucking sick way to murder something. Like,
being force-fed corn mash your entire life while being... See, if it was one thing if they had just, like, force-fed them and then they went and ran around on the farm until it was time to force-feed them again. But,
No, they force-feed them and, like, get sickly obese to, like, the part where, like...
Yeah, they can't move, and, yeah. That's the part that I have ethical hang-ups with. But this whole thing sort of started because I was interested in forcing myself to use a more limited palette of ingredients.
Oh man, I had Emerson's rook last move. Sorry about that.
I know.
I've been going just after Mike because that bishop. But
yeah.
Yeah. So like,
why
you wanted to limit your palate in your personal life so that your cooking could become sharper for what you do make?
Yeah, or it just forces me to be more creative. It's sort of a thing like when I used to do like oil painting and stuff too, which one of my favorite things to do it's like Bob Ross style wet on wet canvas kind of painting. And I used to like doing landscapes with weird color palettes. So you would get like a neon mountain landscape.
So like kind of like what Van Gogh does.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I'm basically Van Gogh. I still have both my ears. For now, anyway. I haven't met a lady that will drive me crazy and make me cut
you
an
must
ear
like
off.
Matisse too, then.
Matisse, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that.
Isn't that what Matisse does a lot? I mean, look at his colors, man.
Yeah, yes. Quite a bit. But it's more, the stuff I do is more, I don't know if photorealistic is the right word. I mean, I literally did, like, Bob Ross tutorials. Actual Bob Ross tutorials. With Bob Ross branded paints.
That's cool.
Yeah. And when I would run out of, like, certain colors, rather than going out and buying more of those colors, I would just do the same tutorials, but like anytime he said certain colors, I would just substitute them for different ones. And that's sort of what I feel like I'm doing with my approach to plant-based cuisine.
So you're doing like, they'll say put 3/4 water, and you'll be like, all right, I'll just substitute this color with salt.
Yes.
So you end up with just this, like, I'm just kidding. But
Like a weird Henry's Kitchen kind of.
I showed him that today.
Yeah. Henry's
You
Kitchen.
like Henry's Kitchen? Have you
yeah.
seen Tim's Kitchen Tips?
Tim's
Dude,
Cooking
that
Tips?
It's Tim and Eric.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Kitchen Tips is pretty good.
I've definitely seen it while in altered states, but as far as like what's coming to mind now, I'm not thinking of much. What's the catch here? Is there a catch? Oh.
Oh, that's why I didn't move there.
Oh, so the cornflakes story.
Fuck, dude. I'm so happy I know. Dude, we need to talk more all the time. All right, keep going.
So Kellogg, Joseph Kellogg, the founder of Kellogg's,
Joseph. Sorry.
he was a literal crazy person. Hang on, let me find his Wikipedia page.
I'm going to it already.
Okay.
I'm already there.
So
I'm on that shit.
he was like this Joseph Kellogg. He the first result for Joseph Kellogg is a steamboat.
Captain from Portland, Oregon, dude. Portlandia and Portland is very interesting to me in general. The show sparked my interest in Portland, and like I've just been looking at Portland.
Yeah. All right, maybe who's the founder of Kellogg's? Is it Joseph Kellogg?
That wouldn't take very long to figure out.
Oh, sorry, William Keith Kellogg is the guy that I'm thinking of. So he was this like hardcore Calvinist Puritan dude who heard voices, and he was a Seventh-day Adventist. I'm sorry, he was not a Calvinist. He still heard voices in his head. And he thought that demons were causing him to chronically masturbate, and that
There's so much shit with masturbation just in history. If you look at the church, there's so much crazy shit. Keep going.
Yeah, and so he thought the cure for this was to consume more grains, and so he came up with cornflakes as a means of keeping him from masturbating. I don't know if you can work that into a piece, but
wow, I should, dude. Fuck.
Just the life and times of Kellogg.
Dude, what if the piece is about William Keith Kellogg? Like,
Yeah, that
he goes insane, murders someone, and then cornflakes is like the meal at the end and beginning. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah. It like all.
It could be some kind of sex crime because like he's obsessed with masturbation.
Yeah.
But that carries over. It's like, what would it be like if I like did something? You know, like.
Yeah.
That could be a very interesting story. All right. Anyways, keep going though.
Well,
Wow.
that's kind of it. He created.
You're up, Emerson. You should move.
Yeah. He created Kellogg's and went around promoting them as a means of, like, what else did he claim? I just know that one was like his primary claim, that it was an anti-masturbation aid. So
I have heard that before somewhere, but it
might have been me. That's one of my favorite facts about cornflakes.
Oh, you have other ones?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like I have other favorite facts about cornflakes. Other than most of the health claims that they make, other than the anti-masturbation thing, aren't true. Can't confirm whether or not the masturbation one is true. But all the health benefits that they claim generally have been disproven.
About cornflakes?
Yeah.
Why, was there a bunch of claims cornflakes had to be good for you or something? What were the claims?
The claims were always about, like... No, I'm thinking of shredded wheat, maybe. The shredded wheat got in a bunch of trouble, if I remember right. Big shredded wheat was claiming that it, like, helped you concentrate better than the other breakfast alternative.
Wow, that is so fucking stupid.
But the other breakfast alternative that they were giving people in the clinical trials was water. So it's like, oh, you concentrate better when you've eaten something versus when you have not.
When you haven't eaten something.
Yeah.
It's quite a revolutionary discovery.
Yeah. And that was in like the 70s. That was where we got breakfast as the most important meal of the day.
Yeah, at least we got LSD out of the 70s, right?
Yeah. It's not all bad, just mostly bad.
What's another? Do you have any other food stories, like about common food items, like food things that like regular people, culinary artists know about that would be interesting facts?
Well, on the subject of corn, corn doesn't appear anywhere in nature. It is a crop that was selectively bred from a kind of what we would consider a weed.
It's a banana, right, too?
Yeah, banana's the same way. Banana was a lot more recent than corn. Corn was a thing that was selectively bred by Native Americans over like 1,100 years, as far as we can tell.
NASA recently, I don't know how this works, but NASA recently found out how to take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and make flour out of it.
Okay.
Edible flour?
Yes. To bake in, flour, I don't know.
Oh.
Bake and stuff.
Oh, wait, what were you talking about before?
Corn? Oh.
Yeah, so corn, and then what happened with bananas? You said bananas are way recent?
Yeah, bananas were like, corn would have been like 1100 BC and onward is the amount of time that we've had that. Whereas bananas were a thing that were selectively bred. Like the banana that we have today was selectively bred sometime within like the last 100 years.
Really?
Yeah. And the reason why banana flavored stuff doesn't taste like the bananas we have now is because it's a different kind of banana that they're basing that flavor off of. And it's that particular kind of banana has gone extinct. That's called the Cavendish banana, I think. Or is what we have a Cavendish banana? Hang on. Cavendish banana.
Looks like those might be the ones we have now.
Yeah, I think that is. Which one? Why? Banana.
So 200 years ago, there was no such thing as a banana.
Or modern banana.
Yeah, as far as we know.
Is the natural banana is like full of seeds.
Okay, so the banana that we get our fake banana flavor from is called the Gros Michel banana. GROSMICHEL.
You're up, Emerson. Nice.
And the Gros Michel banana is mostly extinct now. I mean, I'm seeing fairly modern looking pictures of it, so it can't be completely extinct. But we have a problem right now where the Cavendish banana is in the process of going extinct because all banana trees are clones of each other.
Are dying because of what?
There's a disease that affects them, and there's no genetic diversity amongst banana trees. They're all clones of each other because they can't reproduce naturally because they don't have seeds.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So bananas are going extinct in some areas, which might be like a disaster in certain places where it's a staple crop, like in certain parts of Eastern Africa.
But yeah, aren't plantains like just a different style of banana?
Yeah.
Or is that not true?
Well, I think they come from like the same type of plant, but plantains are a much starchier and less sugary banana, I guess.
Yeah, I like them. They're like meaty almost, a little meaty.
Yeah.
A little tough.
And you can just throw a whole plantain in the I want to call it a wrapper. In the skin. You can just throw that whole thing in a fire and let it cook. Get all delicious. I compare them to sweet potatoes. They're kind of on the
I really
same
like
level.
Yeah,
bananas.
yams are like a big thing in Africa, right?
Oh yeah. Which what is it? I forget. All sweet potatoes are yams, but not all yams are sweet potatoes, and it might be the other way around. That's another.
How much different does the yam taste from our sweet potato?
Not. I think yams are significantly sweeter. The yams that we would like serve at Thanksgiving dinner or whatever are.
Right. Okay. It's like the plantain banana difference.
Yes. That is a excellent comparison.
Wow, dude. Jesus, you are a treasure trove of information.
I try. I'm glad I finally have a place to use it.
Yeah.
Rather than just, the occasional Jeopardy question that I can answer.
Dude, keep going. What's another interest? Can you tell me anything about are different salts really different tasting? Like, is there a difference between sea salt, like Malaysian pink salt, and are these salts really different?
No, I personally don't think so. There are a few people out there that will tell you that there are different compounds outside of sodium chloride that are in things like Himalayan pink salt or like Hawaiian volcanic salt, which could affect the flavor. But especially once you've cooked those things, generally any of the other compounds, their flavor efficacy will have been greatly diminished. But for finishing stuff with a volcanic salt sometimes has a smoky flavor to it.
Oh, so you do agree there's some little differences?
Yeah, there's slight differences, but once you've cooked with them, they're pretty much all the same. There is, however, a difference in density based on how fine or thick the grains of salt are. So a thicker grain salt will be less salty by volume than a finer grain salt, which is why it's always important to distinguish in recipes. I even go as far as to mention what brand of salt that I use which it's always Morton's kosher salt because it's just what I always use. So it's what I'm most consistent with.
Is that a pretty standard salt for in the industry?
Yeah. Kosher salt is considered the chef's preference because it's less salty by volume, so it's harder to oversalt stuff. So you can just keep adding more and more without having to worry as much.
You can add a little bit, taste it, and then add a little more, and you can really scale it up.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry. In fact, that if you want me to summarize Julia Child's Guide to Fine French Cooking into a single sentence,
Please, yes.
I can summarize it into one sentence: use more salt. That's it. That's pretty much every home cook is almost there, if they just. Because people are you would be shocked to see like the amount of salt that gets added to stuff in restaurant food. That and butter. Plus, if you add too much salt, you just add more butter. If you add too much butter, you add more salt. Like it's you just balance those two things out. In a way, the way that it's explained, and this isn't super scientific, but it's a good visualization. It's that fat molecules sort of carry, they soak up and they carry flavor compounds, but they're sort of trapped inside of these fat bubbles that the salt, in a way, breaks through in order to release them.
Again. Start over again. I just want to be with you. I was thinking about a move and I'm about to do it. Let me do my move and then I want you to restart that.
Okay.
So what about the salt bubbles?
So fat, in a way, fat is what carries flavor compounds. Fat carries all sorts of chemical
Yeah,
compounds.
I mean, that's why, like, well, damn it, I was going to say something I shouldn't really say on the stream.
Ah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yes, I think I know where you're going with that.
Yeah, yeah, fat is a good activator.
Yes. So fat carries the flavor compounds, but those flavor compounds are sort of trapped in sort of fat bubbles, in a way.
Yeah.
Not actually on a chemical level, but that's a good way to visualize it. And what salt does is it pops those bubbles and allows the flavor compounds to be released. So that's why
people say, yeah, fuck, Jesus. Okay, yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So that's the secret to fine French cooking is use more salt and more butter. Butter being the preferred French fat. If you want to change French cooking to Italian cooking, you just swap out all the butter with olive oil, and it's the same thing.
Oh. What's another fat in another culture? What's another butter substitute?
So in
Like oil, canola oil? Or I don't just.
in like Southeast Asian cooking, you're going to use something like peanut oil.
Mm-hmm.
In Indian cooking, or like most South Asian cooking, you're going to use something called ghee, which is a processed butter where you remove the milk fat so you can cook it at a much higher temperature. So it's a butter that you can deep fry stuff in, and that's where the money's at. Ghee is delicious. I love ghee. I would use it all the time if it didn't cost so much money.
You can make it yourself, or is it really hard to do?
Yeah, you can make it yourself, but it's not necessarily hard. You just have to be really patient. And it's never going to be quite at... the process is called clarification. And you will never get it quite as clear as like a store-bought ghee. That it reduces the volume of the butter that you have by like a third. So.
Oh, you think of basically.
Did I move? I guess I moved.
Whoops.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that.
You can take it back if you want.
Am I in immediate danger? If the answer is no, then I will just leave it there. All right, the answer is no. So I'm leaving it there.
So you said you think of fat as the way to suck in the flavors you have.
Yes, and to transport them.
Salt, yeah, and then you see salt as the activator of the flavor being tasted.
Yes, it's the way to
Or and the activator.
Yeah, it's the way to release it. Really, what the process is happening is salt triggers salivation, and your saliva is what is breaking down the fat globules. And releasing the flavor compounds. But you can also achieve that in a small way with acid. So I actually have like a magical seasoning mixture that doesn't contain any like seasonings. It's more, it contains salt, citric acid, MSG, and a little bit of sugar. And that is like salt times 10. Like it's an amazing thing, and when you mix them in the right ratio, that stuff's like crack, and you could add it to anything, and it automatically you can add it to any savory food, and it automatically makes it better. I doubt it would make like chocolate chip cookies better if you sprinkled
It's
it on
not
top.
a flavor that you're really adding. You're just adding a pop
Yeah,
to whatever flavor you chose.
yeah, it's like a flavor enhancer.
Can you talk about cheese now?
Cheese. I know
Cheese.
Slightly less about cheese, but you know who knows a lot about cheese is our friend Grassburger. He's quite into cheese.
I was gonna say Gravit.
Yeah, Gravit's into cheese too. I just
What do you know about it? Like, well, what do you know about cheese? Like, what are some principles of cheese that I should know?
yeah.
I actually think Justin.
Whatever.
Oh yeah, Justin knows quite a bit about
think-
cheese.
Yeah.
I think I've actually talked to him about it on stream before, somewhere. You'll have to add that to the titles now, like 3-player chess, and we talk about food.
Really should.
Yeah.
Travis. So tell me what you know about cheese. Like, what are some just interesting things to think about when you think of cheese? Like, what does cheese bring to mind to you? What does it mean in a dish? How has it been used? What's some interesting facts about cheese?
Well, I just think cheese is one of those things that weirds me out in that it doesn't weird me out, but it's if I stop to think about it, I'm like, oh, this is like a dude left some milk to sit in a container and it went bad, and then he ate it anyway and he thought it tasted good, so he tried to make it go bad in the same way again.
It's a loaf of milk.
It's
Is it weird to you? What do you mean? You don't like it, or
No, I do. I love cheese. It's just the abstraction of it. I guess anything could be like that. Like milk.
it's
Milk
kind of
is
funny when you think of it.
yeah. Milk is mammary fluid. Like if you want to call it that, which guess what? A lot of vegans do to try and gross people out.
Thing that's weird though is like the weirdest part is, yeah, dude, cow milk is awesome. You drink human milk and you're an adult, it's like you're a weirdo.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's literally for humans. It's
Yeah.
human milk.
It's
But
obviously
it's like
just
we drink cow milk and we're like, wow, dude, that's normal. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, what?
yeah, that is something. Humans are the only mammal that can drink milk past adolescence.
If other animals do it, it's literally bad for them, or they just choose not to. I don't get what
By default, those animals they become lactose intolerant after a certain point, and in fact, in humans, lactose intolerance is the default. Like the majority of the world is lactose intolerant.
Really?
Yeah. But
Does it go by geography of where most lactose intolerant people live?
yeah, most lactose intolerant people are in East Asia and Southeast Asia. The exception in East Asia are Mongolia and Korea, which Koreans are descendants of Mongolians, so it makes sense that. And those will be like the only countries where you can like find cheese in a supermarket.
You can't find cheese?
Yeah, you can't find cheese in like a Chinese supermarket. Certainly.
So by lactose intolerant, that means they don't even really can't drink milk?
Right. Yeah.
Oh. Really interesting.
Yeah. And that's like the default for people, for humans. Like we are the weird ones in that we can consume milk long past adolescence.
Most Europeans have a lot of... They're not like, European descent.
Or well, yeah, most Europeans are descended from a people that have a long history of consuming milk and milk products. Hence why we have such like a rich cheese culture in like France and Germany.
Right, yeah. Makes
and-
sense.
Yeah. And it just comes from years of having tons of milk and not knowing what to do with it. Actually, oh, hey, if you want food history, you should check out the author Mark Kurlansky.
I'm writing this down.
Okay. He wrote, my favorite one by him is called Salt, A World History. And it's...
How do you spell his last name? Kurlansky?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, what's it called?
Salt, A World History. And it's the history of salt. And it's fascinating. And right now I'm listening to the audiobook of the one that he wrote about the history of milk around the world. So that's why it's kind of fresh on my mind. Fresh, there's a fresh milk joke somewhere in there, but I don't have it. It has escaped me. But
I have so much stuff I need to keep up with on this message board.
But Salt, A World History is fascinating. Like, it is one of the best nonfiction books I have ever read.
What are some of the principles in it? Like, do you remember any of the big points he has?
Well,
that stuck out to you?
So in all of Kurlansky's books, he always like finds these ways to drop like he throws like sick shade at humanity in general by just being like, yeah, we haven't really changed at all as a species. And I always appreciate that, especially in paper, which is the history of paper. He has a couple of ones.
In a good way? You mean like we haven't progressed, or what do you mean?
Yeah, well, he shits all over the idea that the printing press was like this revolution for all of humanity, in a way that's actually like pretty sound and fascinating.
His argument is that it didn't change humanity for the better, or that I don't understand.
Yeah, that it didn't change humanity for the better as much as we would think, or like it didn't.
What is better? Is he saying morally better? Is he saying, like, you know what I mean? What's kind of...
More or less, he's making us out to be like, we've always sort of been gossipy, fake news spreading kind of cretins throughout all of history, and that all that these new developments in technology give us the ability to do is to engage in these behaviors more ruthlessly and efficiently.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
That's why big data is just such a fucking interesting topic to me, because now it's like, people, like, it's all there now. You can just fuck them to death.
Yeah.
Literally. You know, it's like...
Some people might even pay you to do that. Yeah. That's... Can I undo that? I clicked. Hang on. I'm gonna. That was an actual misclick.
What are you doing? Just clicking shit.
Yeah, just clicking shit.
Did you click undo?
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Pending undo.
So, can I come up with another food topic for you to tell me about?
Yeah.
Emerson, maybe it's you have to ask to click the undo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll accept.
Thank you.
So what's the next big food thing I know is a big deal? Oh, with mincing and stuff, isn't there like very specific ways to mince different like fruits and different vegetables?
There's certainly like a laundry list of different cuts that they have you learn in like a culinary school. The first class you take is knife skills and culinary principles, which is more or less like how to properly sear meat and stuff like that. But the big thing is knife skills. And it's like a dozen different cuts, but it's all it's all
sorry.
It's all just like mostly just like sticks and cubes of different sizes that all have fancy French names. There are occasionally things like the tournée, which is a little football shaped 7-sided football shaped thing that you have to learn. But honestly, I've never had to use a tournée outside of culinary school. It really is one of those things where it's just like, yeah, you learn to do it because other people can't. And like that's it.
Okay, question I had was, do different kind of mincings and different kinds of cuts relate to different actual flavor activation? Like, does a cut actually influence the flavor of what's being cut?
Yes, but only insofar as, at least for like vegetables and stuff, it's only insofar as like smaller things dissipate more flavor.
Right, it's just simply like surface area stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
That's crucial, right? I mean, you need to know what cuts to do. Like, if you super mince your onions, it's way different than doing like just single, like chunks, right? I mean, you're going to talk about way more onion flavor with the difference, right?
Yeah. To the point where if you want all of your stuff to cook at the same rate, you would want to cut like your denser vegetables, like your like carrots and stuff. You would want to cut that smaller than your onion, assuming you were cooking it all at once in the pan, so that it would all get done at the same time. Because otherwise, your onions would overcook long before your carrots get soft.
Wow, dude. What is the French carrot dish called? Isn't it like crudelle or something, or what is it?
Did I ever?
The French dish where it's cut. It's like carrots cut really fine.
There's like julienne de yeah, hang on. French carrot dish. Do I recognize this?
Cut carrots. It's like really finely cut carrots, and it's called something specific.
Your move, Emerson.
Vichy carrots. No, Vichy carrots would be. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure I've actually made it if it's like one of the classical.
You gave up a bishop?
Did I?
Or
did
no,
he give up a bishop?
Well, maybe. Let's see. Ooh.
Yeah, because just the word for like.
Minced up in French is what?
Minced up would be something like.
What was a C word?
Oh God, what are all the French cut names? Do I even remember them anymore? I know I know julienne, bâtonnet are the sticks. Julienne being the smaller of the two, and then there's macédoine is the larger cube, and then French knife cuts. Let me find the chart.
You're up to.
Okay.
This could get dicey.
No pun intended. Brunoise is the. Uh-oh. What's going on here? What in Sam heck is going on here?
You can't capture with knight because it's pinned to the bishop. And then my other rook's guarding the rook's guarding the rook. But also you have, well, I don't know. Because if you attack with that pawn with the bishop, then his queen comes down. Which could be bad for you, but also opens up. Ooh.
French knife cuts.
If you don't, his queen comes down regardless.
I see him right now.
Yes, let me...
That is so good for... God, the supreme cut has to be amazing for flavor. Because, like, if you think about the thinness of it, for to be activated, but then the great part about that cut is then it's also, like, big so that you can, like, easily pick it up, you know? With your fork, like, pretty...
Yeah.
Then it's also thin, so the flavor is probably going to pop out all well. Like, I would love to... I feel like that cut's really interesting.
Let me send you... Oh, here's the exact picture from our books that show... Oh.
Get to me in the Discord or something, or post it. What fuck? Post it on the fucking stream.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. This one's from Pinterest. Yeah, this looks like the exact...
You move, Emerson.
This looks like the exact diagram that was in the... Copy image address. Okay, here, I've posted it in the stream chat. And it's not quite the same picture as what's in the Fine French Cooking book, but...
Oh. Okay. Check your bishop, but I think that led to... all right.
What'd it lead to? Total anarchy?
Yeah.
Good. I approve. Down with the state.
Did you? Okay, I'm gonna look at the cuts.
Yeah. It's, this is like half of them. There's like another... Oh, the other really cool thing to learn if you want to impress your friends is learn how to flute a mushroom. Let me show you a picture of a fluted mushroom. This is another one of those skills that you will never use in the real world, but they try and get you to like be able to do it with your eyes closed in culinary school, just because it's a neat trick. Let me find a good picture of a fluted shroom. Yeah, these are really cool. These have the star too. Copy image address.
Yep, I already see them all.
Yeah, there's another one. So fluted mushrooms end up looking kind of like a macaron. I have numerous times the owner of the restaurant that I currently work at, I fooled him by putting Nutella on top of them and telling him it was a cookie and getting him to bite into just like a raw mushroom with Nutella on it.
This would be fucking great, dude.
Yeah.
I would fucking laugh. Jesus. Wow. Yeah, I would laugh pretty hard.
But
Checkmated. I
yeah.
think I'm about to maybe possibly
you just want it for me.
did he?
Right.
Because he has to get his king out of check. And
Oh, yep.
Get his king out of check. There's no way to get his king out of check. He's checkmated. How is he gonna get his king out of check?
Yeah, that's a checkmate, isn't it?
That's
I got nothing to block it with. But it has to get back around to me. Yeah. Oh.
Fuck you. Fuck that shit, dude. Fucked up. I did all that work. I basically did your work and then just gave you the game.
It's capitalism in action, boys.
That's player chess, everyone.
Employee.
Yeah.
I'm your fucking employee. What in the fuck? And like that's how real capitalism works. I don't even know how much I'm fucking myself. I
Yep.
work for you.
Exactly.
I was thinking if your king could out of check, I'd just attack your bishop. But yeah, that works too. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Video. Dude, that video, I'd watch that fucking video for a movie. I thought that was a great fucking video. Dude.
Hour 15 minutes. They went by pretty fast.
Yeah.